Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Thursday, December 1st, and you can see our banner up there, a December to remember, and we got some winter weather here over the next 5 days, but by and large, the bulk of the exciting weather looks like it'll begin late next week, next weekend, and beyond. That's when I think real winter conditions will hit. In fact, by next Friday morning, we could see temperatures down into the teens with highs in the upper 20s or into the mid 30s, something like that for the following weekend. So again, some very wintry weather coming up here, especially as we get into the end of next week. So if we look at some of the headlines here, we got some rain and snow showers expected here over the next 36 hours, but really no big deal. As a warm front begins to move towards the state as a low pressure develops in the plains, that could bring an inch, maybe a couple of inches of snow to the area as we get into late Sunday into early Monday, and then I think the system gets closer and brings us a pretty good area of rain here on Tuesday. Again, not a tremendous amount of moisture altogether, and over the next week or so I think we're going to be mainly under a half an inch, but we'll continue to watch that Tuesday system. One of the latest models has that tracking down well to our south across central or northern Indiana. That might indicate maybe the potential for a little bit of snow there, but for right now we'll say rain and warmer conditions. And then again, we're going to watch that storm for very late next week into the weekend. Looks like maybe a couple of systems. The models are pretty much all over the place right now, but definitely behind that, we're going to see the coldest air of the season. If we look at the normals, the normal high is 38. We're down to 23 for a normal low. And if we look at the conditions across the lower 48 as far as high temperatures, you can see a number of stations in Florida hitting 86 degrees, including Leesburg, Orlando, Marathon, and Stuart, Florida. The lowest temperature, my favorite place there at 19 below zero at Crested Butte, Colorado. That's not what I pronounced it on my first take. And if we look at the conditions around the area yesterday, you can see we ended up the month at 7 degrees per day above normal. So a very, very warm November. And I believe I was reading that November will go down globally as the warmest November ever. And you can see temperatures yesterday mainly in the upper 40s to low 50s, even some mid 50s as the cold front slower to move through the eastern part of the state. As far as precipitation, London picked up 0.14 of an inch, coldest temperature here in Breckenridge at 34 degrees. The warm spot, Brown City at 56. If we look at the conditions around the area this morning, you can see plenty of temperatures in the 30s, so quite a bit cooler this morning. Some precipitation now across the areas around Newaygo and Clarksville and Middleton, and moving off to the east as we see some activity pinwheel from northwest to southeast from Minnesota, Wisconsin into the state here over the next 36 hours. And you can see some of the maps we're going to be putting up as we kind of think about winter wheat and how the protective snow cover certainly helps that. You can see not much in the way of snow cover. This would be 1 to 5 inches across portions of northern Wisconsin, a little bit in UP. Most of the snow being north of Lake Superior back into Minnesota and into the Dakotas. But again, I think over the next 10 days we may lay down a blanket of snow across much of the Great Lakes region. And if you look at the next slide, you can see all year long I'll be tracking, first of all, this is the normal snowfall for each of these locations. This is my forecast and this is what has occurred so far, and we'll keep track of the snow depths as well, and we'll try to update this report several times a week, if not daily. And you can see if you want to get into more detail, I don't believe any of the other branches keep track of snowfall, but here in Breckenridge I do everyday snow depths. You can see some of the daily snowfall along with the depth of the snow at 7 a.m. each morning. You can track the overall snow, and then you can get a look at the different months and the 1 inch, 4 inch, 8 inch, and a foot of snow depths. We track those each and every year as well. The only place I can think of that does that is, I believe, Western Michigan University has a pretty good site out there. I'm sure there are others, but not that I'm aware of. You can see on the satellite picture this morning this cold air with the upper low across the northern Great Lakes. It's going to pinwheel some of these clouds of precipitation, and that'll be enhanced by Lake Michigan here over the next, again, 24 to 36 hours. But again, no big deal. And you can see on radar some of that activity across the Great Lakes this morning. And if we look at the low-level wind flows, you can see why that's pinwheeling around from the Dakotas and Minnesota into the Great Lakes as that cold air continues to filter in. And if we look at the weather map for this morning, you can see that low pressure system that brought some of the activities well off to the east. We're now in a cyclonic flow. And again, that's going to continue to bring a mix of rain and snow today. Better chances of snow showers at night. as the surface skin temperatures cool down. And if we look at the map for Friday morning, you can see no major systems across the area, just mainly lake effect across some of the Great Lakes. And as we get into Saturday, we begin to look at our system that's going to be moving to the northeast here, and that's going to affect our weather as we get into late Sunday with that pattern of snow moving in by late in the day and into early Monday morning. And again, looks like we could see an inch or so of snow out of that, possibly, mainly on grassy areas. And you can see what the GFS is forecasting for Sunday night and Monday. This is an area of mainly 1 inch, maybe 2 inches of snow across some areas. And if we look at the Canadians' outlook, you can see basically a little more solid area of 1 to 2 inch snowfall across the area. And the European model actually put down anywhere from 1 to 4 inches across the southern 2/3 of the state. And if we look at the next forecast, this was the Canadian yesterday, and this is why you just have to wait until we get into early next week, middle of next week, as we look at that late week storm into the weekend. You can see the tremendous amount of snow that was forecasted. Now, if we look at the newest one, you can see that there is still some pretty significant snow actually coming up into lower Michigan now. And again, we'll keep an eye on that as these models are likely to flip-flop here quite a bit here over the next 5 to 7 days. If we look at the forecasted for the totals of precipitation off the GFS model, you can see plenty of liquid equivalent coming up here over the next 10 days, with many areas seeing over an inch of rain, possibly even some isolated areas to 1.5 inches, even 2 inches of rain or rain equivalent. Some of that will be in the form of snow, no doubt, here over the next 10 days. As far as weather watch, nothing out there across the Great Lakes. We're clear and dry. Thanks for stopping by and have yourself a great day. And thanks for stopping by in 73s to all.